Welcome to Eco Independence. So the question is George Galloway, to vote for him or not to vote for him? So, first of all, let's just clarify what a politician is. So, a politician wins the most number of votes by telling the best lies. An honest politician doesn't win. They tell you the truth, nobody votes for them. For example, an honest politician would tell you um, the UK economy relies on resources from Africa, printing money, and goods made with in sweatshops overseas with below the minimum wage, and the economy is good and sound. So we have to stop taking oil from African countries without the African people getting the benefit from the oil. Just the oil is sold by a few politicians. So that an honest politician will be clear to you that the UK economy needs to be brought down onto its knees so that African countries can stand up and can enjoy their own resources. So, of course, nobody votes for a politician who says this. So the politician has to lie. Now, the more they lie, the more votes they get. So the definition of a politician, the best politician is the best liar. And this is pretty much how everything works. Now, all of a sudden, we get George Galloway coming along, telling the truth, stop the war, look after the workers, so vote for his Workers' Party. Now, the majority of workers making merchandise sold in the UK are in China, where there's no minimum wage. So, but there are still some workers in the UK on things that cannot be outsourced out of the country. So then there is one way of helping the working population, the workers, as George Galloway says in the UK, and there's only one way, and that is with a minimum wage and a maximum wage. So at the moment we have the minimum wage, everything's fine, but there's no maximum wage. So this results in accumulation of excessive wealth in the hands of a few, who then invest that in a similar way to make more return, which means outsourcing and wars, doing whatever they need to do to make a profit, which means lowering wages, ecological disasters, plastic pollution, fertilizer, just whatever to make money. So a maximum wage is a basic solution to a lot of problems in the world. So far, George Galloway has not mentioned a maximum wage. Does he know about a maximum wage? Does he get? He says he wants to make the workers more money for the workers, but where does this money come from? You'd ask the please bank managers, don't take your bonuses. They would take their bonuses. If George Galloway gets in power, what happens after 4 years? He gets out of power. And then everything he's done to help the workers will be changed. So, but will he get in power? Of course not, because the media is under the control of the capitalists who are making huge amounts of money, and the media is under control of the people who are getting 1,000 times more than the minimum wage. So the first thing we have to do in the world before we do anything else, we have to start the maximum wage. The extremist capitalists need to be stopped. Extremist terrorists are there, but extremist capitalists, they're the ones who are destroying the planet. They're the danger. So that's the first thing. George Galloway has not mentioned the maximum wage. Yeah, okay, so he's looking after the poor people, but people want to make money, and it is human nature. Someone's going to work harder than someone else. We can't make everybody equal. That's been tried already. The communist, they said, let's make everyone equal. It was an economic disaster. Communism is only alive in the history books because it was unpsychological. It ignored the fact some people want to work hard, some people want to lay back and relax. So economy has to allow people to make money, more money than others. But there has to be a balance that when the people make more and more money, they're not given the scope to gain control of everybody else, and everybody else becomes a semi-slave of the rich people, a slave to your landlord, a slave to the taxman, a slave to the paying the insurance, paying the council tax, blah, 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 blah. The bills go on and on. By having a maximum cap on the wage, this will free up more capital to give to the workers. This is the only way. If George Galloway is sincere, he will bring in a maximum wage in his manifesto. He will stand up in Parliament and talk about a maximum wage. But he's not mentioned it yet. So I don't recommend voting for George Galloway until he gives some concrete policies of how he's going to help the workers. And aside from the maximum wage, you have within a company, you have the owner, then the whole hierarchy. The CEOs go down, the managers, and the workers at the bottom. Mostly means buying things from China, putting them on the shelf in the supermarket. So we need to bring back manufacturing into the country, and we need to put tariffs to block goods coming into the country which we produce. There's no way around it. Then we do this, other countries do this. We talk about an economic meltdown, and this is what a politician has to say, that we need an economic meltdown in order to bring manufacturing back into the country so that we can get more back. But manufacturing also, at the moment, we have the capitalist, the owner at the top, and we have the workers at the bottom. There is another way of running a company other than this, and that's with a cooperative. Spread out the money evenly, more fairly. Everybody equally owns in the company. But when you put a cooperative next to a capitalist company with the hierarchy in it, the cooperative always go bankrupt. They cannot compete with a capitalistic ownership. So instead of just forgetting about cooperatives, there is another solution. Make everything a cooperative. Then it's all equal. So, but there are two instances when cooperatives don't work: when they're too small and when they're too big. So then you don't be like dogmatic. So small, like family-owned businesses, they should be privately owned, like a restaurant, privately owned. Now, when that business gets to a certain level, more employees, it has to be forced to become a cooperative. So then you still allow privately owned businesses, provided they are just family run or individual. Then when they get over a certain level, they have to become cooperatives. Then there are some things that are going the other way. They're too big, like oil or something like that. Then they should be government owned. They shouldn't. If they're privately owned, they're just the capitalists take over, and OPEC and oil prices up and down, and the rich people just blackmail the economy for their own benefit. So then you can have like a three-tier the economy, three-tier. That you have privately owned small businesses, then you have cooperatives, and then you have a few of the huge government-owned. And this helps to spread. And this with the maximum wage, this is pretty much what the economy needs. This is what a politician needs to say. George Galloway, nothing. Just, we want to stop the war, stop this, stop that. To stop the war, you have to stop the capitalist. And stop the capitalist, you have to have a maximum wage. That's just the beginning. Maximum wages, that's for arms producers. It's for agricultural produce. It's for everyone. So it's not thing to discussion, something to change every 4 years when another party is just, it has to be put in. So the people who put in a maximum wage, they're part, the politicians, they're part of a structure which is there to stop a maximum wage. The rich people control the media. The media tell the people who's going to win the election. The British people, they don't decide who wins an election. It's the media who tell the people all the information about what's happening in the world, about the good and the bad. They tell somebody's left D-Day. They tell the world. They're the political party in the world is run by the media. And the media decide which party you will vote for by which information you have. So the solution to the problems in the world will not come from the politicians, because they're the ones who are there to stop the solutions. The job of a politician is to make sure that the rich people remain rich and get richer, and that the poor people don't rebel. So by giving the public the opinion that they can influence the world by letting them vote, keeps them happy. So George Galloway is there on the fringe. All the people anti-war, they're going to vote for George Galloway. But George Galloway is not going to win because the media ignore him, make a joke of him, and make him out to be a clown, when George Galloway is the only person who should be a politician. If we had 100 George Galloways, we don't need any other politicians. 100 people with the same spirit as George Galloway. But we don't. All George Galloway is like the hero in a nest of snakes. Voting for him won't change. What we need is for George Galloway to start to make the structure of a new leadership outside of the political leadership at present, outside of Parliament. We need a change of the political system to get away from the laws, the peers, all the corruption, the here, and the whole system which is built to keep the rich in power, and just a little game change. Today we'll have Labour, next time we'll have Conservative, but it's all the same. Nothing changes because the media are there, and whenever someone comes up who says anything different, they are ignored. So George Galloway has been completely ignored from what about the debate? Where was George Galloway in the debate? He wasn't in the debate. So we should just boycott the election. Don't be tricked by having George Galloway there. He's just one. He's not going to become the leader. and maybe after the Third World War, and we're all glowing with radiation, and then things are so messed up, they will say, "Okay, George, now take over." But George Galloway is standing up for what he believes in, but he has to stand up in a place where we can change the world, and the Parliament is a place where you're surrounded by wolves and snakes and horrible things, by war criminals, people who have started wars, brutally killing millions. Take, for example, the Foreign Secretary with the blood of Libya on his hands. David Cameron, Lord David Cameron. How did he become a lord? By killing Colonel Gaddafi. And okay, he didn't kill him personally, but he was part of the machinery that killed Colonel Gaddafi. So we can't expect a system that allows war criminals to change the world. They might temporarily stop one war and then start another war 10 minutes later. So I say with George Galloway, don't be tricked. He's got to make some concrete policies for changing the system, not just temporary. Oh, we'll give a little bit more to the workers and we'll stop this war, and then another war will sprout up in 5 years, 10 years. You've got to stop the machinery that produces the right wing that start the wars in the first. We've got to change the system of leadership. That's all for now. Check out my other videos. Eco independence.